7 minutes. Blacks wanted to be called blacks. Isn't that amazing? That was a poll.
That's right.
Ellsberg, which is going to be on with John McLaughlin, he claims he knew hours before, within 7 minutes, what time the invasion of Iraq was taking place. That's a very disturbing news to me, that a bum like Daniel Ellsberg knew this.
Well, how would Ellsberg know?
I don't. Somebody in the he's got some, obviously has some sources where he shouldn't have.
Well, you know, one thing I'll say about Ellsberg, he's consistent. He's like Ramsey Clark. He's never stood up for America yet, no matter who the foe, no matter what the cause. Vietnam, perhaps you could argue about. You could certainly say that there was good cause for a lot of the opposition. But when a person, no matter what we do, is opposed to any action we take in our own enlightened self-interest, it makes me very suspicious. It makes me draw the inevitable conclusion they just don't like America.
That's right. The Wall Street Journal took on Mr. Leslie Gelb the other day for saying that right-wing propagandists are trying to exploit the Gulf War to ride an old hobby horse, meaning SDI and the Patriot, and giving credit to Carter instead of Ronald Reagan.
Right.
That is ridiculous. And they make a very good point, the Journal, that they should put under his column that he had a high foreign policy post in the Carter administration.
That's right. He's not presenting any view as a dispassionate journalist or as a journalist even attempting to be fair. He's clearly, obviously, a member of a past administration trying to defend that administration, but he's doing it in a most spurious manner because, as you point out, he's wrong. He's either lying because he doesn't know, or he's lying because he's a liar.
Charles Carruth, who has a horrible face, I can't stand look at him, said the hero of this war is the Patriot. Never, ever once giving credit to Ronald Reagan on that Sunday morning show, which I don't know why I watched it, but I despise that television guy also, that bum also, the guy that does the television. Pete Hamill, the New Low today, talking about a black man there, a non-commed officer. He says, we're there to destroy the enemy before they destroy us. And then Hamill says, of course, his country didn't send him to that forlorn desert to teach kids how to read. Did we do that in World War II? I mean, I don't know that we sent our people over there to teach the enemy how to read. This man is insane.
Yeah, he really is.
He's a mad, absolutely crazy. Then that other little gnome, the guy I can't stand it, Robert Reich. He says the military systems are so complex today and specialized, they have no bearing in commercial sectors of the economy. He is a fool because we got things out of World War II that we use over and over again from the military. And then he ends his column by saying a 40% tax on Americans earning over $100,000 a year, and anything taxed on Social Security should be treated as taxable income. I mean, I watched this man. Why do they give this guy a platform? He's not an idiot. I've never heard one good thing out of Robert Reich. And to look at him is disgusting.
Well, let me say that once again, you are absolutely on target. You've hit bullseyes all over the place. Too bad there's so many targets available because it just shows us how the media spawns left-wing, anti-American skunks.
That's right.
Thank you for the call, Al. Good luck to you.
I'd like to comment on these protesters who I am sure also are environmentalists. I would say many of them, and yet there's been a conspicuous silence on their part regarding Hussein's abominable act of polluting the waters with oil. They've been conspicuously silent in protesting against that. And
well, they're trying to figure out a way how to blame the United States. That's why. As soon as they figure that out, they will protest.
Yes, I agree with you.
Bob, grab reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. He says he supplies some information. Get a load of this. 400 Iraqis are slated to enter the United States with phony Indian and Pakistani passports. And the appalling part about this is the Immigration Department is still letting Iraqis into the country, carte blanche, being fully aware of the official memo. They take their picture, fingerprint them, and then let them go. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? When in doubt, hunt. When in doubt, keep the slime out. And if they're not slime, after this war is over, then we'll say, gee, you can come in. Incredible. Meanwhile,
my brother is an Army reservist, and he was called up within the last month. And what really gets me aggravated is so many people in this country are so gung-ho about, shooting people and bombing this place, bombing that place. And when you ask many of these people, have you ever had any relatives in the Army? And they say no. Have you ever served in the Army? They say no. Because when they don't lose their own relatives, such as yourself, you don't have any regards for any other life. That's what really aggravates me. I'm hurt now. My mother's broken up. My dad was in Vietnam. He came back. But it really hurts when, where's Jeff Grant? He's flying in a helicopter. Why don't you send him, huh? What do you got to say for yourself?
What do I have to say for myself? You are a very sick cookie. That's what I have to say for yourself.
Don't say that.
You're a very sick guy. You're a very sick guy. The minute I heard your voice, your putrid, dumb, crass, low-life voice with the crude diction, because you are a crude bastard. Get off my phone.
Wait.
You slime ball. Paul Thorne, you're on WABC. Hello. Tim, are you there? You're not there. You have no patience, Tim. You're a skunk. Paul. Until Monday, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Kill Saddam Hussein. It's 6 o'clock. One of the best parts of the whole day was the fact that Senator Frank Lautenberg got a lot of boos. And a lot of people in the audience said, hey, he doesn't belong here. You see, they remembered that Lautenberg, along with that other jerk, Bill Badley, voted against the use of force in the Middle East, opposed crushing Saddam Hussein. But Lautenberg has changed his tune. Suddenly, Lautenberg is a big supporter. I wonder what woke him up. Too late, Lautenberg, too late. Anyway, he was there. Badley was smart enough not to attend, but he sent a message read by an assemblyman to which he's going to agree to the feckless UN. As you know, Perez de Cuellar said that he would embrace some kind of settlement. They're not even talking about him getting out of Kuwait anymore. Isn't that ridiculous? When we've got him pretty well smashed. Not completely, certainly, but pretty well smashed. At any rate, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's hope that the president does not fall into that trap. A trap being laid for him by Bismarck and Khrushchev, the two thugs now running the Soviet Union, the sleazeballs in Tehran, a lot of the cowardly Arab leaders who have been with us only half-heartedly, and a whole host of pusillanimous European, quote, friends, unquote. We may be finishing this whole thing with just our British allies and the Saudis before this is all over, but so what? The others aren't doing anything anyway.
First, I would like to wish our troops and this country victory, Mr. Grant, and peace will follow.
Did you notice that putrid whore, what's his name, Davy Dinkins? Did you notice that fake? He puts in a bracha into the wall, and he shows it to the camera. He says, I pray for peace. How come he didn't pray for victory?
I say victory, Mr. Grant, victory, and peace will follow. Hi, Bob. How you doing?
What's on your mind, Phil, besides how I'm doing? As a matter of fact, in answer to that question, I'll give you my private phone number. We'll chat tonight.
Okay, anyway.
Calling from a drug rehabilitation center in Gelb, New Jersey. It's called Paul. And I'm calling in reference to your opening comments, and I am a listener of your show every day. And I find your opening comments to be very bad toward the drug addict people. I think that, there's people that come out from dysfunctional families. Some people are on drugs because their housebroken, not housebroken the right way, and they fall back into these things, and they try to get help. And I think by you badgering them, by saying that you would go out and buy drugs and paint them with some kind of cyanide or something you would say to kill these people, you think that to rid them of the public.
That's right. I'd like to get rid of. I'd like to get rid of this vermin. It does no good. It's just a drain on decent people. It's a drain on you, but you don't know it. You're pathetic, and I'll tell you why I say that, Jeff.
I'm pathetic.
Yeah, you know why you're pathetic? Because I guarantee you this. If one of these junkies had broken into your place to steal something, and in the act of stealing was going to cut your throat, you wouldn't say, "Oh, I know you came from a dysfunctional family where you got, where did you get that word, doctor?" What about, don't go back to that. The fact is, we have a class of marauders. You're a jerk, Jeff. Get off my phone. How stupid. Karen,
listen, I got to record some Herb, by the way.
Okay.
Good old Herb. And what I wanted to mention was, I think one thing we should talk about is that we should compliment Dan Quayle on how he helped push the funding of the Patriot through the Senate. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'm aware. We discussed it briefly with a couple of callers,
I think it's an interesting point. And also, Bob, I think that after 15, the deadline expired, the office started shortly thereafter. I don't know if you think there's any truth to the rumor that the reason why President Bush actually moved so quickly was that it came to his attention that Saddam Hussein was actually financing your public campaign against WLIB. I believe the listening public has the right to know the truth.
He has. Well, no, he didn't finance it. I've done it. I've done it as a labor of love. I don't need any money for that.
Okay, Bob. And
James Fonda wasn't able to go to Baghdad. Is that why Ramsey Clark is going?
Yeah. Well, let's hope that Ramsey Clark gets involved in a bombing and he never comes back because he's in 1,000 pieces. Thank you for the call.
All day I've heard on the TV and on the radio about this Tango and Cash. They're warning everybody out there.
Isn't that stupid to warn them?
Now, these people are heroin addicts. That means they're criminals. They create crime. They are crime. They steal. They shoot people. Innocent children have been shot in New York City in their little forays. I don't understand. To me, this is like a cancer being cut out, or the antibodies in the system taking over, the system purifying itself, and they're trying to keep this in there. I'm totally bewildered by their way of acting. I mean, you get rid of the problem by letting these people use the Tango and Cash.
If anything, this should be a. You know, I used to say years ago. I used to say what we ought to do is lace heroin and cocaine. Lace it with this stuff, and we'd get rid of the problem. But here we are, where someone else has laced it, and we're knocking ourselves out to warn them. The police actually going around in the Bronx with loudspeakers, warning them not to take it. The very same scums that kill police, the same scums that break into homes and take whatever they can, and if someone gets in their way, they kill them.
That's what I'm saying, and I talked to one person on it, and they said to me, "Oh, but you can't do that. They're human beings."
My foot. Hey, look, Saddam Hussein's a human being too.
That's questionable.
Okay, thank you for the call. Slams the lid on things for today. Until tomorrow, this is Bob Grant reminding you your influence counts. Get Saddam Hussein. Jim of River Edge. This is Tim of Queens. Hello, Tim.
How you doing, Bob? I was holding on Friday, waiting to talk to you, but I finally got disgusted with your orgy of self-promotion and free plugs that you were on. When are you going to have Danny Styles on for an hour as a so-called guest, huh? You know, you got.
Why, Tim? Every time you call, it's the same thing. Do you have a problem? Are you resentful?
Yes,
Are you
I am,
jealous?
because people
Is your life so empty that all you have to do is sit around and be green with envy?
People pay for time on your station. Why should you give out free plugs? Because you get free goods and services from these companies.
Because I'm Bob Grant, and that goes with the territory. You become a Bob Grant. Oh, he hung up. He didn't like that. He hung up. The guy's green with envy. He's sitting around, and every time we say something, he says to himself, he says something like, auf mir gesucht. On W.
Discussed with the disgraceful appearance of Bill Moyers last night on CNN. He gave a commentary. First, he described the demonstrations in support of our Persian Gulf policy as a gathering of hundreds. In front of the White House. And then he condemned those, quote, hundreds, end quote, for burning an Iraqi flag. This man should be taken off the air.
Well, this is an America hater. Bill Moyers is typical of the left wing of this country who, for some strange reason, just as perverted as you could be sexually perverted, and some perverted reason, doesn't like America. They want to remake it in their own image. Well, what is their own image? Their own image is that we are feckless, that we are pusillanimous, that we never stand up for this country, that we do not recognize any borders whatsoever, and that the whole world can step all over us. Well, if they had their way, the United States of America would cease to exist, and in its place would be a type of totalitarian government that wouldn't allow them to be anti-American anymore.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, he should just join forces with Iraq as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Thank you very much.
Despicable.
It came to me that upon the advice of many attorneys, that kind of led us into this decision to use force in the Gulf.
That's I don't understand what your point is.
Well, it was just interesting. I'm all behind President Bush and our reasons being there, but he just pointed out that my friend of mine told me he was formerly an attorney.
Well, there are a lot of attorneys who seek the advice of other attorneys. What is your point? The point is that if a person has a law degree, he should never seek the advice of another attorney?
Oh, no, not at all. But it just seemed interesting that, I thought that he was an attorney.
Okay, I'm tired of hearing you say that. Oh, that's dope.
Suppose the Emperor Edward I getting dismissed by Channel 2. First, he found out the hard way that Charlie Rangel has protective pigmentation. And as far as the management as WCBS, bunch of gagazotes, and as like you would say, full like a bunch of cheap cameras.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They've always been that way. They've always been that way, and they'll never change. They'll never change. It just goes with the territory. I guess goes with the call letters. I don't know.
Gagazote Broadcast Company.
Yeah, that's it. You got. Thank you, Steve.
Oh.
And it's all. Oof! Another interruption. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to work for a public radio station. Won't make any money, but I won't have all these interruptions either. Oof! 5:15. Come on, where's the Capone Brigade? That we don't have any Capones. Nobody. What's going on here?
I can say thank God for remote control, because it makes it a lot easier for those of us that have a tendency to be a couch potato.
Oh, I tell you, if you sat with me, you would get dizzy. I have my remote controller. I like to call it the Space Command. And as soon as somebody comes on, who for one reason or another, I don't like her appearance, bingo, I tune it off. I don't like her voice, bingo, I tune it off. Notice the gender, pal. Notice the gender.
I did hear that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, Dave. Very few guys get on my nerve. They got this Mollie McCoy. They got this Mollie McCoy on CNN with a real big mouth. If you took her mouth away, her face would disappear. She's all mouth. And she's one of those people that doesn't believe in microphones. She's shouting. Hey, Mollie, I don't know if this program's carrying down to Atlanta right now, but save your voice. Take it easy. Take a listen from Bob Kane, your co-anchor. Just talk. You got that very sensitive microphone there. There's some broads, they just think they got to scream. Is it their insecurity? I don't understand. I'm Mollie McCoy. About Nobly. Let's...
When we beat Iraq, to replace Saddam Hussein would be Ted Kennedy, because
okay.
They would not have any military left, so to speak. There's very few bridges to go over water, and the entire area would be turned into a Camelot.
That's right. There would be no danger in the world, so therefore they would never arm.
Right.
And anybody who suggested defense would be considered a fascist clod.
Right.
That's a brilliant idea.
I thank you very much. I tried to get through many a time before and could not do this. I thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you for the brilliant idea.
Thank you, sir.
And $400 hammers that are beating the crap out of the Iraqis there in the Gulf. So I would just like to say a very happy birthday to the man who left us well-prepared, President Reagan. Then I'd like to make my comment about the condom distribution issue. I think Marshall McLuhan said it all when he said the medium
is the message. The medium are all the whores and pimps of the Board of Education and all the parents who abdicate their responsibility. And the message to all the teenagers of New York City is, you have no self-control, you're nothing but an animal, screw you. Thanks, Bob.
Wow, okay. Thank you, Linda. I wonder what truck she's driving these days. Wow, on. Oh, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Kill the skunk.
Mom, Arabia. Arabia is not really is not a part of Africa. Arabia is a separate section, and they came from Arabia into Africa, and this is taught at every university.
Yeah, look, darling, I know that you have a problem with self-esteem, and that you hope that by revising history,
No, this is not I.
If you want
Would you like me to give you the
if you want to create feel-good history,
but
and leave it, look,
you mean
you're not letting me.
Invaded Africa?
You're not letting. No, they didn't, and I'll tell you why I say that. Moroccans are indigenous to the African continent, and they are Arabs. Egyptians are indigenous to the African continent, and they are Arabs. Algerians
they were not indigenous, Bob.
Okay.
Get it?
What a joke. Pathetic people like Elizabeth who look in the mirror, don't like what she sees, and thinks that maybe if she revises history or creates, not revise, create history, that she'll feel better. I feel sorry for people like that. No, I don't feel sorry. I despise them. Reich, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello. There is a point of order here. One of the callers said that the Arabs invaded Egypt 1,000 years ago. There was an error. It was 1350 years ago. 1350 years ago, the year was 640 A.D. And they came from Arabia, as the lady was just saying, under the command of Amr ibn al-As. And the Khalifa was the second Khalifa Orthodox, name of Omar ibn al-Khattab. He is the one who ordered the Library of Alexandria to be burned. So this went over the head of your panel, and it's very unfortunate coming from Egypt himself. You should let an error like that.
Where are you from, pal?
Egypt, sir.
Well, then you are indigenous to the African continent, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Then you support what I said to that individual who was on ahead of you, Elizabeth of Queen.
Well, sorry, I don't put down anybody, sir. She
I put that down. That's my style. I put down fakes and phonies.
Signor Grant, un momento, per cortesia.
Why do you break into Italian, pal?
Because maybe you would be more amenable to this.
No, I'll tell you why. Because you're a fake and a phony.
No,
you're not
I'm
from
not
Egypt.
fake,
You're putting
I'm
on
not phony. I'm coming.
All right, let me say something to you in Arabic. May I?
Yes.
Okay. Avangol. Tomorrow, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Boil him in oil.
Peter Jennings last night, I was so enraged, especially the way he began it. He said, well, since 80% of the people support the war, we thought we should show you that there are those who do not. And I said to myself, as if he hasn't shown us this before. We see this every night on TV, those who don't support it and those who are protesting. Does he really think that we are idiots? Does he think that the people watching television are so dumb that they don't see through his reasons for doing that?
Well, if you study the man and his effective way of speaking, I think he looks down. You know, he's developed this almost regal demeanor.
Yes.
You notice that? He's getting more pompous by the day.
Yeah, I can't stand
I think he really thinks most of us are clods, especially those of us who are patriotic and who believe that there is no substitute for victory. I think he looks upon us as clods.
Yes. Well,
by any chance, did you see a tape of Ramsey Clark on CNN? He was over in.
No, I didn't need to regurgitate, so I didn't watch it. No, I didn't.
Well,
by the way, I'm trying to find out, and maybe Roy, who is known by some people as Poor Roy, maybe Poor Roy can find out how in the world a citizen of America is able to go to the capital city of a country we are at war with. How is he able to do that?
Well, it's because that he just told their line.
No. How is he able to get the necessary credentials, the passport, the visa. How's he able to get all that?
I think maybe it was through CNN. Could they do that, something like that?
Wow.
What's the story with him? Was he always that wacko, or is he, is he kind of just off the edge?
Well, he's gotten more wacko. You know, when you have a mental disease, as you get older, it gets worse, not better.
You know, Bob?
And the man is absolutely a psychopath. He's a sick cookie.
And you know what the thing is, too? He kept saying about, how they hit all civilians. There was absolutely no military targets, he said. Absolutely. He didn't say anything. You know, the thing is that we could show them a lot of our civilian casualties, at least from Israel, if we did knock the studs down. The only reason that we don't have them is because we're able to.
Hey, wait a minute! Don't play his game. Would you do me that favor and not play his game? Thank you very much.
I'm one of the guys that you've been knocking. I just want to say that, in my opinion, these Iraqis are the bravest people in the world. They've been sitting there for over 6 months while we've been threatening them every single day to start a war on us. Then finally, January 16th, we do start the war. We hit them with every advanced weapon in our arsenal, and they're laying back, taking their time, and responding methodically. And I really think that this war is a horrible thing. A lot of people are going to be dying, and for nothing.
Well, I have never heard of a war where people didn't die. Have you? Do you know of any war where people don't die, get killed?
I said for nothing.
No, okay, for nothing. I see. So it's all right with you if Saddam Hussein goes unchecked, goes into Saudi Arabia, takes control. No, it's not all right? Oh, I see.
No argument.
Hey, let me tell you something, you brilliant jerk. Let me tell you something. The brave Iraqis that you speak about, 4 of them surrendered to an American news crew. And they said that any attempt on anybody's part to surrender, they are shot by their officer corps. They said that there are minefields not only in front of them, but in back of their lines. So your brave Iraqis, whom you admire so much, might have something to teach you.
That might be a tactical strategy to put mines in front of the it makes it.
You're absurd. You're absurd. Absurd. Totally absurd. Guy praising the Iraqis. I wonder if he would have praised the stormtroopers. Might as well. Bernie, you're at.
Hello, Bob. How are you?
What's on your mind, Bernie? Would you give Bernie? We have Bill Bryson in the control. Bill, give Bernie my home phone number. We're going to chat. No, I won't be home this evening. Call me tomorrow and we'll chat.
Bob.
You can say, how are you? And I'll say, fine. And then you'll ask, how's the family? And I'll say, what's new?
Okay, Bob, you got...
How many packs of cigarettes do you smoke, Bernie?
Too many, Bob.
Yeah. You wheeze. You try to laugh and you wheeze. Your pipes are clogged.
That's for sure. Arabs and the Jews lived in peace practically all over the Muslim world. It simply isn't so. There were riots.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that, pal. I'm well aware of that.
I'm curious that you didn't think...
I'm well aware of that, but they had some equal time coming. You dumbbell, get off my phone! On WABC, here's somebody named Shonda. Hello, Shonda.
Yeah, Bob.
Sounds like somebody you'd find next to a panda.
Yeah.
Shonda, panda.
Yeah. No, I just have something to tell you. Despite what you say, 80% of the country is opposed to this war, okay?
Really? No kidding.
Opposed to the war.
You know what? You're absurd. Eddie, I'd like to know why in the world we even have to debate whether to give Jordan $55 million in aid. We should drop a bomb on Jordan. That's what we should give them. And as far as the Iraqis are concerned, I don't think we should for one minute, be concerned with any civilian area, because this is total all-out war, and we've got to get it over with quickly. As a matter of fact, if we hit as hard as we can, in the long run, fewer Iraqis will die than if we shilly-shally around. Now, we were promised this was not going to be another Vietnam. What the heck are we doing?
Bob, I'd like to make a bet with that guest of yours. You have a very retentive memory. Remember, Eddie from Fort Lee said the war is going to last over a year. We're going to lose over 50,000 men.
Oh, you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
Finally waking up to the phoniness of some of the liberal news.
I hope so too. Would be nice if ABC would give me a chance to come on after Peter Jennings does his propaganda bit each night.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
13, for one, has been disgusting. They're now putting on programs about 60s and all this nonsense, all of a sudden programs about Vietnam. They had Ramsey Clark on at least 3 times, that weasel, that beady-eyed weasel. He hates this country. They have him on a one-to-one interview where no one counters him. And I have heard Ramsey Clark, these are his words. He has called the United States a menace to the planet. Those were his words.
I know.
And he gets away with it. No one counters him. No one questions him.
Well, I tell you, what has happened, he has the immunity that comes from being considered an absolute psychopath. I mean, you see, because nobody takes him seriously, he has like a ticket which says this guy can say that he wants not to be taken seriously.
Well, that's true.
Because how could you take someone like Clark is beyond relevance. I mean, he's not even relevant.
I know. We shouldn't dignify him by talking
I mean, he went to Tehran and he said the Ayatollah Khamenei was a great guy.
Oh, God.
He went to Hanoi and said Ho Chi Minh was a great guy.
Yes.
He's gone to Havana. He said Castro's a great guy. All of these butchers, all of these enemies of mankind, all of these mass murderers, they're great guys.
And we're the menace.
But let one American president order a response to these great guys, and then that American president becomes the fiend.
Yes.
So you're right. He hates this country for whatever reason. The man, maybe he was dropped on his head down in Texas when he was a kid. Who knows? He's not to be taken seriously.
Unfortunately, he gets this exposure. And that's
I mean, I don't even interview him anymore. I don't even. First of all, I can't stand the stench that emanates when he's in the room. So what more can I tell you?
And all right, but anyway, I wanted to make a comment. In view of the fact that that the media has been crying crocodile tears for 3 years over the Intifada, and the Palestinians have supported Saddam Hussein, the butcher of Baghdad, almost 100% on this thing, to the point where they cheer missiles which come and slam into Tel Aviv to kill Jewish babies. I think that Israel would be right in following the policy of the
Kahane party, of course, Mayor Kahane. That's this guy. I wonder how come this guy didn't have himself interred with Mayor Kahane when he was buried a month and a half ago. Hank, ABC, hello.
Bob, how are you?
Is that what you called about? Would you give this guy my private number so we can chat at home?
Hey, Bob.
What?
Greetings from Albany, wall-to-wall Bob Grant and Mario Cuomo country.
Cuomo, huh?
Hey, Bob, I have a question for you.
Yes?
These people that always thank you for taking their call, what do they thank you for taking their call? What is your job supposed to be, if not to answer?
Well, they heard that on Bernie Meltzer one time, and they think that's what they're supposed to say. Of course, he eats that up because he acts like he's the Pope and he's doing everybody a favor, you know. Here's somebody identifying himself. Get a load of this guy, Yogesh. Yogesh, is that who this is?
That's correct, Bob. That happens to be my name.
It's all right. It's all right. Go. You're the first Yogesh. I've taken calls from millions of people. You're the first Yogesh. Let's hope you're the last.
Well, that's not true, Bob. I called you 6 months ago. And
I mean you as a person. Okay, what's on your mind?
Bob, in the last 6 months, we all Americans have known what Iraq stands for, or what Saddam Hussein stands for. But I think very few Americans know what Saudi Arabia stands for. As of to date, the official policy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is that all those soldiers who are in Saudi defending that country, who are not of Islamic faith, are infidels.
Well, that's not new, and it isn't just Saudi Arabia. With very few exceptions, it's every Islamic country.
Well, Bob,
by definition, if you're not a Muslim, you're an infidel. What's so startling about that?
Well, the startling fact about an infidel is that in their holy book, Quran, if you are an infidel, you should be killed.
All right, then I guess our troops are in grave danger. Watch those Saudis on your right flank, guys. I tell you, we're getting some great contributions. Is this program originating from Pilgrim State today? Jerry. Jerry, hello.
Yeah, how are you, BG?
What's on your mind, Jerry?
Yeah, Bob, I'm wondering, are you jealous of Peter Jennings?
I don't think I'm jealous of him. I really don't. Because you could say, am I jealous of Tom Brokaw? Notice I don't make the criticism of Tom Brokaw, who's in the same position.
Well, I noticed Peter Jennings is a very good-looking man.
Yeah, he is a good-looking guy.
He's not fake and a phony.
I don't know whether he... No, I didn't accuse him of being a fake and a phony. I accused him of being a skunk.
Well...
And I think he's a skunk because his priorities are all wet. It seems as though all he's focusing on is anything that's anti-American, un-American, non-supportive of the effort. What the report he gave last night, I think, was an outrage. And why did he have to use the word yet when he said there's no widespread anti-war demonstration? Why did he have to say yet?
Could it be that you have to wear a toupee and he doesn't?
Yeah, well, that's probably it. Although probably in time to come, he might want to wear a toupee also. I forgot that was Jerry who has this obsession with the non-toupee. What a sickie. Let's go to...
Today, I didn't catch your program. But it seems to... I don't know how an American citizen even got there.
Yeah, it's amazing. No matter who we're at war with, there he is in the capital of the enemy. He thought the Ayatollah Khamenei was a great guy. Anybody who's against America, that's Ramsey Clark's person. That's Ramsey Clark's favorite person. What a weird guy he is. What a weird guy.
Tokyo Rose in the last war, maybe I'm giving away my age, was subject to war crimes because of her propaganda, and not as an American citizen. Conversely, if he gives the same kind of bull propaganda as an American citizen to our enemy, I think it's treasonous.
Well, I do too. The only thing I can tell you that mitigates the situation a great deal is the fact that he's really irrelevant and nobody pays any attention to him. He's a joke. He's a travesty. Even people who may share his point of view, I think, might consider him to be repulsive. And he's one of the most repulsive people on the face of the earth today. A couple of people might...
Our enemies use them.
Huh?
Our enemies use them.
Yeah.
You know, the bull, the Arab people.
Yeah, well, thank you for the call, Aaron. Thank you. Hey, Mario, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Grant. I have an 18-year-old son, and I have a nephew over in the Gulf at this time.
Wait a minute. You're a fake and a phony. You don't have an 18-year-old son. You're putting it on. This is somebody who's called before using different names.
Mr. Grant, you never slept in my bed, so you really don't know.
Yeah, I know. You sound like a fake.
I sound like a fake.
Yeah, you sound like a fake. You're using that kind of delivery there. I got a son. You're a fake. You're not even a good actor.
Oh, I'm telling you. I tell you.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You know, you know.
What year was your son born? Quick.
What?
WABC, Rich, hello. Reminding you, your influence counts, so use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Kill the lousy skunk. Kill him!
Ramsey Clark has gotten away with his shenanigans for years, and the excuse was that it was never during a declared war. Well, this is a declared war, and it's about time he gets what he deserves, a trial for treason. And you know, Bob, when we invaded Cambodia during the Vietnam War, the left in this country, including Ramsey Clark, we went there to destroy the enemy's weapons that were trying to destroy American soldiers. The left went on an anti-American feeding frenzy, calling it a violation of Cambodia's sovereign borders. But when Hussein invades Kuwait to torture and pillage, they don't get out there and demonstrate against the same thing they demonstrate against us for. They demonstrate against their own country. And do you ever notice, Bob, that when public opinion differs with the liberal point of view, in their patented arrogance of not being able to think that we can think for ourselves out here, they say, well, those people were pressured into thinking that way, or their arms were twisted.
Yep.
And, you know, the Arab world, Bob, who loves to say this is an Arab problem, we should solve it ourselves. I'll bet you when it comes to money being laid out to rebuild Iraq, they won't mind a little bit of U.S. interference. And those gas masks that have been issued to our soldiers, Bob, they now have a dual purpose, because when the Iraqi soldiers start surrendering in droves because they're being bombed to death, the American soldiers are going to need those gas masks when they run into those soldiers who haven't had a bath for 40 days. Thank you.
All right, there's Frank's emulator, protege, John of Staten Island. We're going to... With the Gulf War raging and Israel under grim threat from Iraqi missiles, media coverage has been mixed. The electronic media have dominated, especially television. Depending in part on the professionalism of individual journalists, reporting has ranged from thoughtful and responsible, in the case of Dan Rather at CBS and Faith Daniels at NBC, to openly skewed on the part of Peter Jennings at ABC. In the print media, the Wall Street Journal continues its fine record of careful coverage. Unfortunately, many commentators have again begun to focus distorted and disproportionate attention on the Palestinian issue. Even in the midst of a war between the coalition allies and Iraq, we urge camera members to pay special attention. For example, they say, Peter Jennings' animosity towards Israel was on jarring display in the tense hours of the Scud missile attack on Tel Aviv, January 17th. Shortly after the entire world watched men, women, and children retreat to sealed rooms and don gas masks in fear of being annihilated by chemicals, Jennings questioned colleague Cokie Roberts about the sympathy evoked among Americans, including the Congress. Why, he wondered, did Israel seem to elicit such sympathy, more even than coalition partners Kuwait and Saudi Arabia? Apparently startled by the question, Roberts explained to Jennings that Israel was a long-time ally, similar in social values to the U.S. America, she noted, is based on a system of Judeo-Christian ethics. Jennings' advocacy of the Palestinian Arabs, as well as the wider Arab world, and his hostility towards Israel is pervasive, coloring the content, tone, and extent of coverage on his telecasts. And then they give a whole list of particulars, which is quite revealing and quite well documented. Anyway, I just thought I would share that with you. Biff, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, Bob. Thanks very much. Dr. Henry Cooper, the director of SDI, 2 weeks ago told Morton Kondracki point blank, SDI has nothing to do with the Patriot missile. In fact, the missile that's protecting Israel so well is a direct result of the Carter administration, when the computer chip was introduced and the Carter people got behind it.
I'll tell you something about Biff, everybody. Biff loves peanuts and teeth. Therefore, no matter what news he hears, he tries to distort to build up that absurdity known as Jimmy Carter. Bob, you're on WABC. Hello.
Just a quick statement, first of all, about the First Amendment. It is not the only thing in our Constitution. There are other important things, such as the establishment of the President as the Commander-in-Chief and the delegation of lawmaking to the states and local government. This is why it bothers me when I see some of these protesters not even, they're going beyond protestation. There was a woman on ABC and also on Sally Jesse Raphael's show, I noted that was a captain, and she in the...
I get the feeling you're rambling. Could you focus what you'd like to say? And if you can't, get your thoughts together, call back at another time.
No, basically about this, I was just saying that breaking the law in some Nuremberg-esque convoluted way...
Listen, you're getting on my nerves. Thank you. This guy is so convoluted. He reminds me of the type of guy that about 1, 2, 3 in the morning, you find him sitting in a bar, and he's going to solve all the problems of the world. And I could tell he was going to bore everybody to death, for heaven's sake. Meandering, blah, 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 blah. On WABC, Stench, here at the studios of WABC between 6 and 7. A horrific, overpowering, nauseating stench. Because Harley Carnes will be talking to that anti-American skunk, Ramsey Clark. Irving.
Hello. I would just like to say one thing about Israel. The Scud missile attack has very much demoralized Israel. And I think if Israel is going to keep on with that political pressure, whatever you want to call it, from the United States, it come to a point that the whole country is going to lose faith in their government. And on the other hand, which I think like James Bacon just made the expression yesterday, that he's very appreciative that Israel turned their cheek another time, like on the other side. has also to do with some political involvement. In other words, it's a questionable mark if Israel can do more than the U.S. can do. Like, in other words, eliminate the threat of the Scud missiles. But they're also afraid that Israel might do something that the whole world is going to be so amazed what Israel has just done, what the Americans couldn't have done, and I think that's what they're afraid about.
With that, he hung up before I could respond. This jerk who couldn't even speak right. Hey, you're on WABC. Hello. Are you there, Barry? No, you're not, because you're too uppity there. You think who the hell you are, Barry, from Riverdale. You couldn't wait on the line, you jerk. Let's try.
Yeah, hi, Bob. I was calling to ask your opinion on the prophet Nostradamus. And I saw a video, it was called The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, and he predicted that World War III would start in the Middle East in 1994.
Hello? Where are you?
20.
Where are you?
I'm at a payphone.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well, you see where I work, there's a payphone only.
I see.
Sorry about that.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I have to put more money in, Bob.
All right, let me tell you this. Nostradamus is irrelevant. It's a fake. It's a phony. It's absolutely meaningless. I've read books allegedly by Nostradamus. And I'll tell you something. I wouldn't spend two seconds being concerned with what Nostradamus predicts. Okay? Thank you. We got enough to worry about without worrying about Nostradamus. He was a fake, a phony, and a fraud. Phil, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yes, Bob, I've been seeing some things in the media of people floating the idea of using nuclear weapons, and it really bothers me that the Zionist lobby, the people who complain about the Holocaust, the Anti-Defamation League, that are seem to be the most vocal for using these nuclear weapons against another country.
Are they really? I haven't heard anybody from... who would you define as being from the, as you call it so delicately, the Zionist lobby?
Oh, well, Senator D'Amato. He was just come back from Israel, and he started saying we might have to use nuclear weapons against
And you characterize him as being from the Zionist lobby?
Oh, sure. I mean, he's rabid, pro-Israel. Sure he is, yeah. These people are in the
And you know what you are? Let me tell you what you are. You are an anti-Semitic little creep. And I'll tell you what, I see you're in Teaneck. I see you're in Teaneck, you little creep. Why don't you come down here sometime? I haven't punched anybody's nose down his dumb throat in a long time.
Who's right about these people?
Get off my phone, you creep. Zionist lobby. Matt, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello, Bob. How are you?
Are you serious?
What?
How am I? Is that what you call about?
Well, I don't know. You sound like you're having a rough day over there.
No, I'm not having a rough day.
All right.
I just stepped on a little worm just now, that's all.
Right. Just out of curiosity.
All right, for your information, let me ask you this. Why would they put signs in English all over, even including on the guys' uniforms, baby milk factory? They speak Arabic in Iraq. They don't speak English. They don't have signs in English for anything. And yet, this place, miraculously, had signs in English. Miraculously, they had Peter Arnett, that stooge of Saddam Hussein, photograph the place that said Baby Milk Factory. I'm not blaming Peter Arnett, but they said, oh, we want to show you that it was a baby milk factory. Look, it says Baby Milk Factory.
All right, I understand that.
So that dumbos like you would call dumbos like me to waste our time talking about something that is so patently a propaganda ploy.
But there's still one question that remains. If there's biological chemicals in the area, why are people walking around and risking their lives?
Why are people walking around risking their lives?
Right.
What makes you think that they're walking around risking their lives? What makes you think that there's any chemical out in the air? What makes you not sure that we bombed that place before they started producing all of the chemical warfare that they wanted to produce? Thank you for the call, Dumbo. That slams the lid on things for today. Until tomorrow, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Is the type of person who said, gee, I never thought of that.
Well, no.
Rich, I think you're being naive to think that he hasn't thought of that already.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't think.
Well, if you know that
publicly.
Oh, they're not supposed to say it publicly?
I think their standard, since they're cooperating, I think their standard response should be,
no matter what he does,
retaliate.
Yeah. You're saying.
But we feel confident with the.
Well, I would suggest that you.
Allied forces, and we're going to let them handle it.
Thank you for the call.
I think that should be their standard response.
Thank you, Rich.
Not to respond to them.
Thank you, Rich. You're making me nervous. Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
By the way, Rich, there is an El Al flight that leaves 10:10 Eastern time, New York time. Perhaps you can get on, and you'll be in Tel Aviv tomorrow morning. Then you could go to Jerusalem. I would suggest you see Yitzhak Shamir. Tell him you want to be his PR man. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Right, bye.
Let's say hello to Isaac. Hello, Isaac.
The bombing and the air destruction, if it's done properly, will suffice. The idea of jeopardizing possibly thousands of American lives is ludicrous. Now listen, it's not that I'm not patriotic. It's not that I don't love American support. I support the men there. But I do not support under this situation to go into a ground battle. The thing is, Saddam Hussein doesn't really pose a military threat. You talk to anyone that's got any idea of military strategy, the man does. See, they've got some good weapons, but it's nothing compared to the Allied forces. There's no military threat there.
There's no military threat.
Not in the sense of like a World War II, Bob. And I'm saying
we're not talking about World War II, and that's why we don't have mass conscription. That's why we don't have 12 million men under arms.
Exactly.
But we do have people who volunteered for the armed services. When they volunteered, what did they think they were going to do? Did they think that it was absolutely impossible that they would ever be in a war?
No, that's not the point, Bob.
Thank God. Hey, listen. Thank God the people who are over there aren't the miserable jerk you are. Get off my phone. You're a disgrace. How stupid.
I want to ask you about the war. If Saddam Hussein decides to just hide in a bunker and have hundreds of thousands of his people die, which from reports that I hear he may, what is it called, attrition, when he just lets his soldiers die? Is that what it's called?
It's called war.
Well, I understand, but my point is, and I'm a little nervous today for some reason.
I don't know why people have to be nervous.
You're right.
Frank is on WABC with me, Bob Grant. Hello, Frank.
Hello, Bob.
Yes, Frank.
Bob, Ramsey Clark is going to take America before the world court. Ramsey Clark is outraged. Oh, my, Bob Grant, I'm shaking in my boots. We better bring the boys home tomorrow, because this pathetic two-legged pail of political excrement from the 1960s says so. Ramsey Clark embodies what exactly the American political left is considered and made of. Individuals with this messianic vision of what the world should be, whose opinions of themselves far exceed their pathetic authority. I've listened to this type of scum say to patriotic Americans, if you're for the war so much in the Gulf, why don't you pick up a rifle? Why don't these lowlifes take a boat down to Havana, Cuba, and help their friend down there harvest cane sugar in Havana if they support Marxist revolutions so much? We don't need to have these old has-beens put on television. We don't need their opinion. And we're seeing, Bob Grant, in these days, the phenomenon of what I call political convergence. The extreme maniacs of the left meeting with and agreeing with the extreme maniacs of the right. Do you realize that if you listen to that little FM toilet with its leftist babble, they are repeating almost word for word Lyndon LaRouche's propaganda. They're saying that Britain is behind the controlling interests of America's war in the Gulf, that the New York Times is controlled by the Brits, that everything that goes on is being controlled by Britain and the royal family over here. Who would ever thought that we'd live to see the day when the nuts of the extreme left and the nuts of the extreme political right would find something that they could completely agree on? Bob, I tell you this, we have to pass alien and sedition laws in this country. We've got to stop these traitors who want to stab America in the back. And I tell you, Bob Grant, we ought to have a holiday. Because when our boys come marching down 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, heroically and magnificently, with the banner of glory, the stars and stripes, after they wipe Iraq off the face of the earth, let's have a holiday called the day they hung the traitors. Let every branch and lamppost in this country sag with the weight of these foul creatures. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Vintage Frank, ladies and gentlemen, on WABC.
This is Greg.
Yes, Greg.
Just as, I'm being persuaded that you're a great American.
What do you mean, just as you're being persuaded?
Well, I mean...
what do you mean by persuaded?
Well, by listening to you, and I get the impression that you're a great American.
Oh, cut it out. Cut it out, a great American. I'm not great at all. I'm just somebody doing a talk show, for crying out loud. What do you mean, a great American?
But then again, okay, you're an American. You've proved to me that you're an American.
Oh, cut it out with the proof. What's your point?
Well, you disappoint me at times, and you...
Really?
Yeah. You get so gung-ho when you talk about the IDF, or rather the IOF. I mean, make up your mind, Bob. It's frustrating. I want to like you. I want to listen.
I couldn't care whether you like me or not. I couldn't care whether you listen to me or not. I can't help it that you have an empty life, and the only moment that you can fill it with anything worthwhile is to make contact with me. Get off my phone!
When are we going to make the song Onward Christian Soldiers the Israeli national anthem, Bob? Do you have any idea?
I don't understand what the nature of your question is. You obviously...
they've got us fighting their war for them, so maybe they should change their national anthem to Onward Christian Soldiers.
You really think we're fighting their war?
Of course we are, and you know we are.
Well, listen...
That's the only reason we're there. All these fools that think we're there for oil, that's bull.
Well, have you ever heard of Kuwait, Fred?
I've heard of Kuwait. You've heard of Kuwait.
All right,
but you know we're there to protect Israel. You are a Iraqi for the Jews, and you know it.
You know, Fred, I mean this sincerely. I mean it with every fiber in my being.
Yes, tell me, Bob.
I would love to meet you in person.
Oh, someday I'd love to meet you.
Well, what do you mean someday? When can we make it?
Rio Diner someday.
My foot, you will.
Yes.
You're just a coward hiding behind your own anonymity. You're hiding behind your own anonymity. You jerk, you little creep. I hate guys like that. I could kill that son of a bitch and sleep like a baby.
And this guy who I heard in the news is going to take the United States to world court now to sue. Doesn't this guy know that this is a war? In war, things like this happen.
Well, the guy is Ramsey Clark. He hates America. He despises America. No matter what situation America is involved in international affairs, he always sides with the foreign power. Whether it's Ho Chi Minh, whether it's Grenada, whether it's Daniel Ortega, whether it's Manuel Noriega, it doesn't make any difference to Clark, to that scum Clark. Anybody who's against America, he is for. To oppose the goings-on there because it was dragging on, and we had a no-win policy. When you have a no-win policy, how can you expect to have a nation remain steadfast behind you? This is not Lyndon Baines Johnson. This is a far better president. This is George Bush.
Hey, Bob, how you doing? First of all, I'd like to know, you always say you want to punch someone in the nose.
I don't always say that.
But when someone...
Wait a minute. You just say it. You just simmer down. You want me to hang up on you?
When did you have...
Do you want me to hang up on you?
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I don't always say that. I say it very rarely, only when I get someone that is so loathsome like that other creep. Now, do you identify with him?
No, not at all, not at all.
Do you want to tell me that we're there just to protect Israel? Israel doesn't need us to protect them. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for us, they would have knocked out those scuds themselves. Okay. So if you agree with me, what are you arguing with me for?
I'm arguing with you, Bob. I love you, Bob. Listen, I'm just curious. I just want to know, when did you actually have your last actual fist fight? I mean, you tell these guys you're going to punch them in the nose. I'm just curious to know if you ever had a real physical fist fight.
Why do you want to know that?
No, because...
Why do you want to know that?
I'm just curious.
Why do you want to know that? You're just curious?
It's out of curiosity.
Okay, last night, two guys in a saloon up in the Bronx over on White Plains Avenue. Ask them if they can talk, you jerk. What a cabron. I tell you, no wonder I have huge ratings. I appealed to the Gabons, and the Gabons outnumber the non-Gabons 200 to 1. Who do we have here from Highland Park? Francis? Hello, who do we have here? Francine, hello. All right, hang on a second. Here we go.
I was reading a book on secret societies. You might laugh about it.
I get a kick out of this guy, Sonny Block. Sonny Block acts like he just came in, never heard me before. I holler at somebody. He walks in, giggling, smiling. Is it new, Sonny? You never heard me before? Okay, go ahead, Francine.
Yeah, I was reading a book on secret societies that was sent by a church radio station to my mother. She's all into that stuff, but I happened to pick it up and read it. And it's not so much that the secret societies, everybody might laugh at that and everything, but they were saying I'm all for America and the war and all, but they said some things about the Japanese war where, the government told them to put their planes in a circle, propeller to propeller, so they,
I don't understand what you're saying, Francine, and I don't think you do either. This is over your head. This program's obviously over your head, Francine.
Well, it's just that the government...
Why don't you watch a cartoon on USA? I think USA is showing cartoons.
Every day.
Why don't you watch Scooby-Doo? You listen to me every day. How come some of this hasn't rubbed off on you? You're not making any sense.
Well, it's just that it's not until after the war is over that we find out things about how the government, like on Unsolved Mysteries, that television show.
Unsolved Mysteries, ladies and gentlemen. Unsolved Mysteries tonight presents the story of Francine and the mystery of how she had enough intelligence to dial the Bob Grant Show.
Listen, Bob, it's a serious matter when you find out things about the war, how the government.
Well, you don't expect these stories to come out while the war is on, do you?
Well, look at the Operation Tiger. They were told to go and do this thing, and then it turned out that our own boats got blown up by our own people. I mean, it's ridiculous. And how do you know the government isn't just screwing us now?
There's a mating call of a Manitoba mallard. He's looking for you.
Hey, Bob, it's a wonder your wife divorced you. You probably yelled out instructions during sex.
You are a first-class bastard.
Why do you say that?
You and that diamond. The two of you.
Well, listen, don't lump me with somebody that just got involved in this business a couple of months ago.
Well,
I've been in this
he's a reflection of you.
He's a reflection of me?
Yes, and you are so arrogant and so nasty and so uncompassionate to people. I don't believe you.
I should have been compassionate to that anti-Semite?
No, I'm not saying that, but generally, you are such an arrogant son of a bitch. I can't believe it.
I'm arrogant?
Yes, that they let you on this air.
They let me on this air?
Yes.
They not only let me on this air, they want me on this air. When I tried to get out of my contract earlier this year, they practically jumped out of the window.
Well,
so it isn't that they let me on, they want me on because people like you listen to me.
Well, Manelli and the rest of them should be taken off the whole goddamn place.
Wait a minute now, take it easy. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. I mean, you want to call me bastard, that's one thing, but not the GD. That's not allowed.
Manelli.
Forget about Manelli.
What's wrong with him?
What's the matter with him? No, I'll tell you what's the matter with him. He happens to be America's greatest program director.
Oh, sure, because he keeps you on.
But he doesn't keep me on.
He keeps you on.
Hey, Gravel Gertie, let me tell you something. Hey, listen, you Capone, you're keeping me on. Don't you understand? You haven't gotten
now, as far as we're concerned.
Hey, listen, why don't you put an egg in your shoe and beat it, you jerk? But anyway, anybody has call waiting I hang up on because there's no point in getting the clicks, even a guy who agrees with me. That slams the lid on things for today. Until tomorrow, this is Bob Grant reminding you your influence counts. Use it. Kill Saddam Hussein. The final hour. I know a lot of you who are with me now at 3 o'clock. Maybe you're not around during the 5 o'clock hour when things really get going. But there were some lowlife. There were some scum calling the program. And the viciousness that some of these people have, the anti-Semitism that they have is unbelievable. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's like a caricature, like a parody. What amazes me, though, and disturbs me much more than some addle-brained gabones calling the program, is what is known as the media. Now, what do we mean when we say the media? What we mean when we say the media is, are the reporters, the editors, for all the newspapers and all the magazines and all the broadcasting outlets combined. Media is plural for medium. And the media, the Western media, the American press in particular, is incredibly naive, incredibly stupid, in addition to being left-wing. Oh, there are exceptions, of course. There always are some exceptions, some very few exceptions. Back in the late 1960s, a thug, a killer, a murderer, a bandit by the name of Saddam Hussein took power in a country called Iraq. There were those times, it's been documented, when he wanted someone he suspected of being traitorous executed. He, unlike his counterparts in the Soviet Union, did his own executing on many occasions. He even bragged about it. He liked killing singularly and later massively. This same bandit, this same thug, this same international gangster began to use the money that his country made from the sale of OPEC oil to a hungry world, using his money to buy armaments from whomever he could. His biggest benefactors, the Soviet Union, of course, because the Soviet Union wanted to gain hegemony, gain some control, influence in that part of the world, and because the Soviet Union had severed diplomatic relations with Israel and had called Israel a Zionist imperialist nation that should be crushed, they gave Saddam Hussein a very good deal. They figured this guy's going to get rid of Israel for us. This guy's going to do much more than that. This guy's going to give the United States and the Western allies a lot of agita. And so they kept building this guy up. But this guy was never satisfied. So he was doing business with the French. He bought military equipment from them, some excellent Mirage fighter planes. He bought some military equipment from the Italians. He bought military equipment from anybody he could. And the worst travesty of all, he got $2 billion in agricultural credits from the United States of America, Uncle Sam. No sooner had our hostages been released from the embassy in Tehran, that was on January 20th, 1981. No sooner had that happened than Saddam Hussein attacked Iran. And for 8 years he fought Iran, but was never quite able to score a victory, even though he had more tanks, more guns, more artillery, more shells, more airplanes, more of everything. In his frustration, he used poison gas, chemical warfare. And while he was conducting this war against Iran, the Kurdish population of his country, of Iraq, wanted to secede and form their own country. His answer to that? He gassed to death thousands of men, women, and children. And then, of course, came August 2nd, 1990, when he invaded Kuwait. And you may recall seeing the films of the devastation to Kuwait. You may recall hearing people who escaped from Kuwait talking about being raped by Iraqi soldiers, talked about being whipped by Iraqis, talked about all the inhumanity that had been inflicted by Saddam Hussein. And what did the American media, what did the Western press say? Not much, really. Not much. What am I leading up to? I'm leading up to the fact that we bombed a key installation in the heart of Baghdad where a lot of Iraqi big shots were making military plans, where obviously people high up the echelon in the Iraqi command were making decisions inimical to the United States of America. And so we did the sensible thing. We did the thing you would expect a wise nation to do in war. We targeted that building and we bombed it. But it seems that Saddam Hussein, who loves killing innocent people, had civilians in that building. And so what has happened since that bombing? All over the world, that's all they're talking about, is we, the Americans, and our allies, kill civilians. What appalled me was earlier today witnessing the press briefing with Brigadier General Neal, the Air Force public relations officer, being questioned by our own media in such a fashion you would have thought they were talking to Saddam Hussein himself. But then again, you wouldn't think they were talking to Saddam Hussein himself, because if they were, they would have been polite. They would have been very cautious. They would have been very careful. It's an outrage, an absolute outrage, that we should have to explain when no explanation should be necessary. I say, don't be deterred, Mr. President. Don't be deterred, General Schwarzkopf. Don't be deterred, General Powell and Secretary Cheney. You are on the right course. Let the propagandists have their day. And while they are talking, go on bombing. Go on bombing until this no-good maniac is destroyed, until he takes his place in the dustbin of history with Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler, and other despotic leaders who sought only to ruin the world they were born into. Yourself, you do need psychiatric care, and I'm not saying that to hurt your feelings. I'm saying that to help you. You need some psychiatric care.
Yeah, I have an opportunity to go back to Vegas. Okay, to sing.
What do you mean go back to Vegas?
Well, I used to work in Las. I used to be in the business.
You can go to Vegas anytime you want. All you have to do is call the airline and get a ticket.
No, I'm talking about working. No, I used to work with the Sinatras, but now she's all upset about it if I go back to Vegas. Meanwhile, she doesn't want to talk to me. You know, it's confusing.
No, it's not confusing at all. It's not confusing. You are a sick cookie. You're really a sick cookie. And maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe the third stroke she gives you will be fatal, and you won't have to worry about it anymore. Hey, I'm not going to... Hey, look, Richard.
Yes, Bob.
I wish you well, but I'm not going to waste any more time with you. You're a lost cause.
Oh.
You're a lost cause. You're a lost cause. Tell that broad I said to get lost for good. Thank you.
Everybody said the same thing.
So long, Richard.
All right, Bob. Bye-bye.
I tell you, there's no end. There's no end. That guy had to come to work for the WABC. I mean, this place is loaded with people who have serious neurotic problems. I'm making everybody uncomfortable because they know I mean them. If the shoe fits, gang. From New York City, yes, hello, Richard.
How are you?
What's up, Mike?
I wanted...
What makes me refer to him as a bum? Because in my opinion, that's what he was, a bum. And had he not been shot on April 4th, 1968, and martyred by virtue of having been shot, more people would realize that he was just a bum who never deserved a national day in his honor, and it's a disgrace that the United States Congress, a bunch of pusillanimous pipsqueaks, voted for it, even though most of them, in their hearts, didn't believe he deserved it either.
Okay, but my question is, what do you base that on? I mean, you called the man a... What
I base that on? Mm-hmm. The guy was a cheat. He plagiarized to get his so-called Doctor of Divinity. That is not just hearsay. That is not just rumor. That's an established fact. The guy was a womanizer I say a womanizer who was a real fraud because he paraded as a so-called reverend He's a guy who gave aid and comfort to Ho Chi Minh like it was going out of style during the Vietnam War. He's a guy who had his training at the Highlander Folk School in Tennessee in the company of other communists. He may never have had a communist card, but he certainly had a lot of communist sympathies. These are just some of the reasons I call him a bum. By the way, let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
Why do you suppose Lyndon Johnson ordered his record sealed for 75 years?
A couple of questions I think you can help me out with regarding National Public Radio, NPR.
We'll try.
First of all, can you tell me if that is a federally funded network?
Yes, it's funded very similarly to the way the Channel 13 is funded.
So they accept private donations also?
You can donate to NPR, but primarily it is government money. Yes.
And can you tell me if that station is available here in New York City?
NPR?
Yes.
I don't believe there's an NPR outlet, although they may transmit some programs on stations like BAI. Why this intense interest in another broadcasting outlet? And why would you suppose, even if they weren't competitive, that I would be interested in pursuing this cross-examination?
Well, I'm sorry, it sounds like a cross-examination.
Well, I find it boring to talk about it.
Well, I'm sorry about that. What I'm trying to find out is if our tax money goes into funding a station, how is it that it's not available in one of the largest markets in the United States of America?
And that's what's bothering you.
It's not bothering me. I'm just curious.
Try WNYC and you'll hear some NPR reports, pal.
I'm talking about it.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, okay? Thank you.
Don't tell it to your mother.
Yeah? What a jerk. He hung up quick before I could remonstrate. What a jerk. NPR, Fango. Joe!
You're a pleasure to listen to. You're the only one that could stand up to the Sicolas. And now, what I really want to ask you is, did you ever hear the Italian expression, no fagagai mas?
Why? Why do you ask?
I'm just curious, because you never used it, so I was just curious whether you ever heard it.
I don't particularly care for the expression. That's why I don't use it. I don't like the expression.
Oh, okay. Good enough.
I find it distasteful, and I'm surprised that you would be enough of a cavone to even suggest it.
Okay, Bob.
All right?
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Not at all.
Bye-bye now.
Don't ask me what she said. I'm not going to translate it. Even for you people in the control room with your tongues hanging out, dying to know what she said.
But while a case comes up where the verdict is just right. And I don't know if your audience remembers poor Mr. Pang. Remember the Korean grocer?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Did you? I must have missed a poor
We talked about it. He was acquitted.
Right.
Unfortunately, what they should have done right after that was take that slime ball who pressed the phony charges against him, put her on a banana boat, and shipped her back to Haiti where she belongs.
I agree, but I don't hear much about it. In fact, I must have missed it because I've been trying to get through to make it known to your audience about this poor
Well, listen, pal.
What he went
Hey, Voltaire, with all due respect to you, Voltaire, do you think that if you hadn't called, the audience wouldn't know? Do you think you're their only source of information, Voltaire?
No.
Do you think that maybe they might have had access to the same media that you have?
Sure.
Do you think that maybe they might have found out the same way you found out?
But I don't hear about it.
Well,
I know it's insignificant, but...
look, let me say this. It's not insignificant.
Right.
Were it not for the Persian Gulf War, I'm sure we would have talked about it more.
Yes.
Have you noticed, Voltaire, that since January 17th, most issues have had to take a back seat to the Persian Gulf War, and quite correctly so.
Probably rightly so.
Because it is as we say, Voltaire, it is a transcending story.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you, Voltaire.
Bye.
All right, he meant well, but that's the thing about me. Even people who mean well get on my nerves. Susan Ronenberger is absolutely shocked. By the way,
you've got this inferiority complex regarding your manhood, so you threaten people physically to augment your self-esteem. Reality is that you are physically a weak Jew, and anyone can take out a Jew. When you talk to people and say, hey, come on, let's fight, you know you've got your Jewish lawyers. No one's going to go out there and bash your head in because they're afraid of being sued, and that's what would happen if I went out there and punched it out with you. You wouldn't last a second. You really wouldn't.
You know, Joe, you're so insignificant. You're so pathetic. You're so ridiculous. Who dialed this number for you? Who dialed the number? Because you obviously don't have enough brains to do that.
Well, I got through, didn't I?
Yeah, that's why I say, who dialed it for you?
Well, think.
Tell me about your ethnic background, Joe.
I'm Italian.
I'm ashamed to hear that. I'm ashamed to hear
Are you Italian? You're not.
I'm ashamed to hear you say that, Joe. I was afraid you were going to say you were Italian. There was something in your voice that told me you were, and I'm ashamed. I'm absolutely ashamed of you. You bigoted little no-good capone. Tu sei proprio no fidente. Tu sapevi? You don't even understand that, you jerk. WABC, let's continue. It's Funny Farm time. Ben, what do you have to say?
Note in today's New York City Sun.
You read the New York City Sun?
It's always good to know what the enemy is doing.
Yeah, that's true. And let me tell you, they are the enemy. These people hate America.
You bet.
They hate every white.
That's right.
If they could kill us all, they would. There's no doubt in my mind. And if they hate us so much, if they're so oppressed, there are about 34 nations, 34 republics, 34 whatever you want to call them, on the continent of Africa, and several in the Western Hemisphere. Why the heck don't they go there? Well, they won't have to see a white face. Anyway, what's on your mind, Ben?
The day after war started, I heard Ramsey Clark statement on CAI, another beautiful section, say, it's time we took to the streets and take over this government.
He did say that?
So help me on WBAI.
Well, then, if he's actually saying that, then he is guilty. He's guilty of syndicalism. He's guilty of sedition, and the son of a gun ought to be put up against a wall and shot because he's a traitor. Thank you for the call.
You listen to your program constantly. Sometime you become irrational. Now, really, I don't like it. No, really, I really mean it. No, I don't know.
I know you mean it. Rocco, scusa.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because you're telling the truth. But go ahead.
Briefing, and what this supposedly media did to our two lovely people, Captain Harrington and Lieutenant General Tom Kelly, is appalling. From today on, I don't call them media. I call them crap and jerks. Crap standing for crying reporters of the American press. If you want to use something else, you can change that to Cronkite, Rathers, Arnett, and Peabrain. And jerks standing for Jennings, Evans, Rather, Koppel, and Shaw. What they put those two gentlemen through today at that briefing was appalling. So from today on, I call them crap and jerks, not media. Maybe your listening audience will go along.
Tony, I'm sorry I have to say this, but I agree with you, unfortunately. Thank you, Tony.
I've never called the radio before. I'm a little nervous, but I just want to call and say that I've heard a few people calling in lately saying that Jewish people aren't doing their part in the military.
Oh, don't get sucked into that. Come on.
Well, I can't be sucked into that, Bob, because I just got out of the Navy last year after 8 years, and I'm Jewish, and many of my friends in the Navy were Jewish, and also in the Marine Corps.
Well, look, you see, you're responding to something that really shouldn't even be responded to. It's beneath you.
You're absolutely right, Bob. But
because let me tell you something about these anti-Semites. They're going to be anti-Semites till the day they croak. You understand?
You're right.
And no amount of facts, no amount of information is going to change them, because they're sick, frustrated, jealous losers. That's why. I'm in a very good position to know their mentality. And I'm telling you, they're not interested in facts. They really aren't. They just want to have this blind hatred. But remember this. If you're a Jewish guy, I want you to remember this. Underneath all that hatred is tremendous jealousy.
We're running. We want to go upstate, Bob. I'm taking my family and getting out of here. I just want to know if you knew anything about upstate Orange County, Wallkill, that area.
Lousy weather, that I can tell you. Why anybody would want to go there is beyond me.
Well, just to get away from this city.
You're still going to have high state taxes. You're still going to be in Il Supremo land.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the heck you want to stay in the state of New York for. It's one of the worst states of the Union.
Yeah. I don't know, the mountains, that they had a fresh
mountains? You want mountains? Go west where they have real mountains.
Yeah. That's a big move for me, Bob.
All right, then go to Orange County. Have a ball.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Good talking with you.
All right. See you at the Rio Diner on the 23rd.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. I settled this guy's whole life. It's amazing. I can sit behind this microphone. People call, I settle their lives. I can't settle my own, but I can settle everybody else's.
It's going to be a long time before they try and build up to the point where they can, aggress across borders against. They're going to think twice about this.
Well, he's desperate. He's grasping at straws, and you know who he's hoping to bail him out? That fake, phony fraud with the wine stain, the forehead with the birthmark on the head, that bald-headed jerk in Moscow, that fake, phony man of the decade. You know what I'm talking about.
Of course I do. And that was the second point I was going to make. Is Ramsey Clark and all his pals over there are grabbing at straws themselves. They're aimless because the Warsaw Pact is falling apart. The Soviet Union is falling apart.
Is the Soviet Union falling apart? Is it really falling apart? I wonder.
Well, I think it's going to take a long time to get back to where they were, but I'm sure they're trying. The point is that they're aimless now.
I'm sick and tired of all these people who have said, oh, gee, I'm worried if Gorbachev is thrown out, what's going to happen? Well, Gorbachev is proving that in the final analysis, he's not much better than any of those other fake, phony, lousy Soviet scumbags who have wished us ill all these years.
But I believe it. And it doesn't stop with Russia. It comes right across the border over here, and he's got a strong following over here as well.
Well, the following over here is meaningless. You know what? The following over here does not have missiles. The following over here does not have bombs. The following over here only has power because people like you talk about them.
Oh, I try not to give them credence.
Well,
With any luck at all, Ramsey Clark and his pals.
Oof-ah with Ramsey Clark. Ramsey Clark is nobody. Stop paying attention to him.
With any luck at all, he'll fall off his high horse and break his neck.
Thank you,
Paul. I just want to let you know that you have a strong following yourself.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, bye-bye.
These people who pay attention to a worm like that, that's exactly what that worm wants. Checking it. Are you there, Jack?
Yes, I'm here. Your ambivalence of your identity baffles me. Why can't you seem to come to terms with your Jewishness? I mean, you get a nose job.
Come to terms with my Jewishness.
Why do you change your name, and why do you get a nose job?
First of all, have you ever heard of anybody changing their name? Have you ever heard of that before?
Plenty of times. Many.
How would you even know if I never said it way back on WMCA, way back in 1970-71, how would you even know that I changed it if I didn't say it? Think about it.
Well,
Think about it, you stupid jerk. He's stunned. He's trying to figure that out.
Good evening, Mr. Grant.
Yes, Phil.
I'm not laughing, but a gentleman called you up about 45 minutes ago and spoke to you about sending Saudi and possibly Kuwaiti troops as the first line of defense to take on the Iraqis.
No, he didn't say.
Said he didn't say. I'm not laughing.
Hey, he didn't.
I would like to
wait
see. Wait a minute.
Stop.
This is my question, Bob.
I don't care. You're calling me, and you're gonna deal with me on my terms, not on yours.
Why don't you ever?
You're gonna deal with me on my terms, or
calling me?
You want me to hang up? You want me to hang up? Okay. He said Egyptian and Saudi troops. He didn't say Kuwaiti troops. Now that I've made the correction, proceed.
Okay. What would be wrong to test these guys under fire and have our young men in reserve? And possibly we wouldn't have to use our young men.
Oh, I agree.
And I want to ask you
Hey,
another
Phil,
question.
wait a minute. We're on the same side on this. I agree with that concept. I love it. But we'd never do it. I mean, if it were up to... Why? Because we're cagazouts. That's why.
We're not cagazouts, Bob.
Yeah, we are. We're afraid.
We're not.
We're afraid. Phil, we're afraid to suggest that.
We're the greatest nation that ever was.
Well, we are.
An empire.
Get up, for heaven's sake. He's screaming and hollering like a hysterical. Get a hysterectomy, you jerk. John, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. And kill Saddam Hussein. It's 6 o'clock.
Yes, I just wanted to make everybody aware out there of what kind of teachers are teaching their kids at these local colleges around here. I go to Montclair State College. And
boy.
And there's a professor at that college right there who not only publicly said that he hopes that the American troops get defeated.
Oh, no, that I can't believe. I can't believe that.
But he encouraged people to write to service members stationed in Saudi Arabia and suggest them that they kill those officers and soldiers.
No. I refuse to believe this. I refuse to believe this. Anybody who would make that statement is guilty of sedition. Anybody who would make that statement is guilty of high treason. Anybody who would make such a statement would get himself lynched. I cannot believe this guy is saying it. Thank you for the call. The reason this jerk is laughing is he knows that no guy said it. He's just making it up. I can see through that fake, phony fraud, Nick from Demarest. Don't call again, you.